If you're feeling down and out, I just want to remind you that you could be just one day away, 1 week away, 1 month away, 1 year away from everything changing and falling into place. I met the love of my life the day after my grandmother's funeral. I took a red eye home that morning. I didn't sleep. I was sad. I was depressed, silently grieving. Hadn't had a date in God knows how long. I stopped looking. And at that particular moment, after losing my grandmother and a couple years before that I lost my grandfather, I thought, what's the point of all this anyway? I lost all direction in my life. Well, that night, I met someone at my best friend's wedding. She was a bridesmaid. I was the best man. We talked that night, and we've talked every night since. She's the love of my life. And that one moment, a moment I almost skipped, by the way, because I didn't want to go after the funeral. That moment changed my life forever. You're one day away. I uprooted my fairly successful photography and video business in Texas to move it and myself to Florida. I was starting over. I can't remember which business this was at the time. I failed at so many. But I had no capital and no prospects. I sold my GT Mustang and used that money just to live on for a few months. It's probably the hardest thing I've had to do so far. How bad do you want it? How bad? And it's just, it's all that I want. I slept in the dining room of my dad's 1-bedroom apartment. It wasn't great. I had to fight roaches every morning and put shoes on to walk from my twin bed in the dining room to the kitchen just to not step on one barefoot. You do it once and you don't want to do it again. It's really gross. My whip, my car, was I drove my grandma's old beat-up Malibu with no AC, and I fought the urge to give up on my dreams many nights. A few months later, COVID happened. While I was visiting my mom in Texas, by the way, so I was forced to stay there. I rekindled some old clients and started working again in Texas in the meantime, but then the shutdown happened and I was forced to close my doors. Later that year, I'd land a year-long contract with not 1, but 5 national TV shows doing content for them. I've had that now for about 4 years. And to top it off, I walked right into a fantastic lease deal on a photo video studio and office space, an actual brick and mortar for my business, where I am now. And I've had this for about 4 years now as well. It took me 10, 15 years, but in the span of 1, I went from having a studio in my parents' living room to having a brick and mortar studio and several big clients. You're one day away. And going back years before that, maybe 10 years now, I hit rock bottom after my first business failed. I had to get back up. Not just once, but about 3 times. You know what? The 3rd time, it didn't faze me at all. I had to get back up again and again in my life. You just gotta remember, well, at least I do, a quote from Tony Robbins. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. And ask, what lesson are you meant to learn here? Why would God put you here? For me, there was many, but one of them was I was to learn that I didn't need to be rich and famous and have all my goals achieved to find the love of my life, which I thought that I had to. For me, it was realizing that money, while necessary, wasn't the answer I thought it was. For me, my quote-unquote rock bottom wasn't as bad as I thought, although the first one was pretty bad. But I stopped being afraid of it and let it go. Just remember, you're always one day away, 1 post away, 1 month away, 1 year away from everything changing in your whole life lining up for you to be all you were created to be. And that's just the start of a whole new life. So don't worry about it all making sense right now. Just keep that positive and expecting attitude. And one day, you'll look back and it'll all make sense. Right now, you could be just one day away. I hope this helps you. Thanks so much for watching or listening. My name's Dan Kathman, and I'll see you on the next one.